This is the first ever Hyundai Palisade XRT Pro. And you're probably wondering, what's an XRT Pro? We know what an XRT is, but what about the XRT Pro? Well, that's what we're gonna find out in this video. Let's roll! For today's video, special thanks goes to our great friends at Don Valley North Hyundai. They're a Hyundai and Genesis dealership. They're in the same lot. And they were kind enough to allow me to borrow this thing for the day and other vehicles to review it, show you everything you need to know about it. Now, you're probably wondering, why don't you just take this off-road? Truth to be told, not many people are going to do off-roading with this vehicle. Not crazy off-roading. I think the idea behind this is to make something that can sort of conquer certain roads, like if you live in the countryside, or wintertime, if you're really in certain areas where it snows quite a lot, like north of Toronto or north of Ontario for that matter. This is probably what you're thinking of. Now, if you're looking to go crazy off-roading, this might not be the perfect vehicle for you because it's not designed to do extreme off-roading. Now, we know the XRT because it is offered in the Santa Cruz, for example, and on the Santa Fe. So it's kind of like a mild off-road. The Pro takes it a step further than that, where it makes it a little bit more off-roading. Now, we're not talking about 10 feet of mud or climbing crazy rocks, but he can do quite a lot with this package. Let's begin first with the front end. Let's talk about the front end. What you've seen here is a different grille compared to the other trims because they have to make it look different. Like, for example, the top part and sort of this gray silver bottom part, which is, of course, even more open than the other trims. The next thing you notice is the painted front bottom lip. And we've got actual recovery hooks. So you've got this painted sort of like orange, one on each side, visible because that's important if you go off-roading so that you can see where they're located in case you get stuck. Now, most off-road vehicles offer what's called a skid plate, and the skid plate is located underneath. This model doesn't, but it is an option to get for front and back as an accessory skid plate. And I'm assuming they did that so that people that don't really care about that or they're not going to take this crazy off-roading don't have to pay for it. I think that's a pretty smart decision. But if you really think that you might damage the bottom of it, well, you should get the skid plates. There's also the front camera here, which you can use it for off-roading because you need something like that while you're going at low speed, so it gives you the best visibility because you can't see much as a driver around this area. So this comes in real handy. Now, the next thing is the fact that this does not come with fog lights, and I expected an off-road vehicle to have fog lights, even something small. Unfortunately, it doesn't, and I'm assuming they didn't offer that because the headlights themselves are sitting pretty low, so that might give you enough visibility. Moving on to the side, front, and the first thing you notice, these wheels. These are the only wheels available for the XRT Pro. They're off-road 18-inch wheels wrapped around with Continental Cross Country. This is the Traction Plus, which is not really your Jeep Wrangler or Ford Bronco, for example, but they will do the job just fine, and they'll be great for wintertime as well. The wheels, these are the only options you get, which I think it's pretty standard. It looks very rugged, and the way it's designed is that when you go in certain like mud or dirt, it just keeps that mud away from it when you're driving so it doesn't get stuck. And they're also easy to wash. And that's the whole point of designing something like this. That cladding that you see on the wheel well continues on the side with the side skirt, which also has the XRT badge, not the XRT Pro badge, so that people know if they see this thing on the road, they wonder, what is it, a custom made? Well, that's an XRT. And then you have this portion here to protect the side of the vehicle, which brings me to the next point, ground clearance. Thanks to the suspension setup tuning, they were able to achieve an 8.4 inches of ground clearance, which means it gives you better ground clearance compared to the standard model, a couple of inches better. The shocking part is that the tires didn't apparently make a difference. It's mostly to do with the suspension to raise the vehicle. And since we're talking about ground clearance, another important fact about the XRT Pro Palisade is that it gives you better approach angle, better departure angle, and brake even. At the end of the day, it is an off-road three-row SUV. Moving on to the top side, we've got a two-tone finish design in this case. The overall body paint choice is creamy white, which is similar to the standard Palisade that we reviewed. This is glossy finish, and we've got the painted portions of the front pillar. We've got this rails at the top, the door handles in matte black in this case, not glossy black. And then we have the side mirrors, which is painted in matte black and glossy black at the same time, matching the side skirt, which also has two types of finishes. And then with this package, we've got very dark tinted second row and third row windows. Now, what about paint choices? What do you get for the XRT Pro? Well, first is this creamy white. Then there is Abyss Black. We have Classy Blue, Titan Charcoal, and Cast Iron Brown. But in matte, there's only one option, which is the Earthy Brass. Moving on to the back side, well, we have the bumper, which is now redesigned for the XRT Pro. You've got a two-tone finish, the glossy black and the matte black. And then the center part, it's in silver. Very mix and match kind of color in this case. And we have the painted orange tow hook, similar to the front in case if you get stuck. And then we have the Palisade painted in black, similar to the Hyundai badge as well. And then the centerpiece for the plate frame and the lights, it's painted in black. But that one is a separate piece, so it's not one piece together with the actual tailgate. And then at the bottom, we have a more aggressive bumper design, so it makes it look like very off-roady, and better departure angle for the XRT Pro model. Similar to the Ultimate calligraphy that we reviewed previously, the XRT Pro gets the same treatment for the windshield spray. So the nozzles located in here are actually heated, and below 5 degrees, they turn on automatically. So that way they spray heated water fluid, in this case, to clean the windshields. And then if it's above 10 degrees, they turn off automatically. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the point of that kind of technology? Well, if you live in a country like Canada, that might come in handy. I'm actually interested to see and use them during winter time, because I don't think I've driven a vehicle that has that yet. Or maybe I have. I don't know. I've driven a lot of cars. Now, what about tech features? Well, the Palisade comes with a power tailgate, of course, and you get the second row power. So you've got two buttons on the side here that you can fold them automatically. The third row, you'll have to do it manually. And with this package, you get 7 seats. So you got 3 in here, 2 in the center with captain chair, and 2 at the front. On top of that, you get some extra space in here that you can put on stuff, and it's got like little equipment, including this little bag. I wonder what this bag is. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's the hook. That's for towing. Perfect. So it does come with a towing package as well. That really nice and handy. And a cute little bag. And you put it back in here. It's got the spot so that it doesn't move. Okay, let's see what else do we have in here. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's for the tow in case if the red ones do not work. That seems like an extra thing added. And there is a jack as well here that you can use to lift the vehicle, plus the spare tires located under. Now, the third row, you can adjust them, you can move them manually, but they don't get any climate unit like the top trim. You only get USB-C port and the cup holders. Okay, let's jump inside. First of all, how do you get into the third row? Well, there's a button at the top. You press that and it moves forward. Now, compared to the highest trim, it's not powered, but you can press also the side button. It's got like 2 buttons to move, and you can move the seat manually back and forth. That way you give yourself a lot of space and to get into the third row. Now this comes with captain chair seat, but you get 3 in the back, 2 in here in terms of seats, and then you jump inside. Here we go. It actually feels a little bit higher than the standard one. We've got a sunshade in the side, same thing on that side. There's a compartment here for extra space. There is 115 volts that you can plug here to charge your phone or batteries. At the top, we've got the climate unit in here that you can control from the buttons. I love the fact that they've done that at the top, so that way if you have kids, they don't play around with it. And we've got heated seats for both captain chairs, which is nice, and there's the USB-C ports on each side. It does have the notification on the side over here where the speaker is. So when you open the door and there is someone is behind you walking towards you, like maybe just cycling, that will notify you, so that way you don't have to open the door and just hit them and, you know, cause some major problems. But that's about it. There's some space in the center, tons of compartments, tons of space, like this one over here, same on that side. Very comfortable, pretty loaded with tech compared to the other trims because it's pretty reasonably priced. Okay, jumping onto the front row, the first thing you notice, it's not that similar to the one that we reviewed with the loaded tech, which is the ultimate calligraphy. This one is the XRT, and visually is very different. Like the first thing you notice is the XRT badge on the passenger side. There's the XRT logo on the headrest, and even the seats, kind of that off-road design, leather interior, of course, and then blacked out interior in this case. There is only a sunroof in the front. There's no panoramic roof in the back with this package. You don't get that camera for the rear view mirror like you do with the highest trim, which I think it should have been part of this. The interior is quite nice, but it offers some tech features that you don't get in the standard model. So let's go through some of those. Starting with the main screen, as you can see, it's fully digital cluster in this case. It does have a couple options, including built-in navigation system, and it has this, the off-road pages, which I find it quite interesting. First of all, what you see in here is sort of pitch and roll suspension system, even the steering angle where you position it. It also changes the layout based on the driving mode. So if you're going to snow, you go into mud, and then you go into sand. Just leave it in mud. Your oil pressure, 12 volts battery, the angle, the pitch and roll, temperature, transmission, engine transmission in this case. And then we have this, which is the ground view, which essentially is not live, it says, so it's only we move and you can see the tires, and a 360 view of the camera. It shows your elevation on the side. So that's your off-road pages, which I find it pretty cool because something you don't see in many vehicles. And also the camera, you can go into a full camera if that's not enough for you. It's pretty cool to have, and it stays here on as you're driving and going off-road, which again, I think it's pretty cool. There's the four-wheel drive system. It says four-wheel automatic in this case, and you can change that to like two-wheel because it's not a four-wheel drive system like a traditional one. And going back into that, we've got your trailer package with this. You can add your trailers, you can keep track of all of them, and it will tell you how to connect it with a checklist one by one. We have that portion in the back. And that's about it. There's also a 360 camera with this package. And if we go back into the off-road pages, we also have downhill assist, which you can use the camera in the front as you're driving. Pretty smart. And of course, the standard layout for the screen. I think that feature alone makes a huge difference in this vehicle because now you're really into that territory of off-road machine. Below that, we have the buttons for the climate unit. Easy access for your camera. Your drive modes are over here. You can switch from drive to terrain mode. And then under that, we've got the climate unit, dual zone in this case, with heated seats and ventilated seats, which I think is super nice to see. And then just below this area, we've got more space that you can put your bag and of course other equipment or anything that you need right in there, which is the extra space offered for the new Palisade. Further down, we are in the center island in this case. We've got 3 USB-C ports with 100 watts max charging capability. There is a wireless charging pad in here. And then we've got 2 cup holders on this side that you can make use of it. And of course, your standard armrest with extra space. Next question is, how much are you going to pay for this? Well, in Canada, this starts at about $60,000 Canadian, and it's just above the preferred trim. In the US, looking at about $51,000, which is sort of within the same price range in other competitors. So some of the competitors I can think of, well, there's going to be the new Ford Explorer, the Tremor one. Then you're going to have, which uses a twin turbo V6, and then you have the Atlas Mountain Peak or High Peak, one of those names. The next thing is the Pathfinder Rock Creek, and maybe the Honda Passport. Then you've got the Honda Pilot Trailsport, which is not really an off-roader, but it goes within those same lines, and they're looking at about the same price. Now, in terms of the pricing, it's well positioned for what it offers. There's a lot of tech and off-road capability for a 3-row SUV, which brings me to the last point. What engine do you get with this, and how does it drive? Well, that's what we're going to do next. Let's go for a drive. Under the hood, the new Palisade uses a 3.5-liter V6 instead of the 3.8, and the XRT Pro only comes with a V6 at this point. Maybe they'll change that, but currently in 2025, the only engine available with the XRT Pro is a 3.5-liter V6. Meanwhile, the other trims get a hybrid. This one makes 287 brake horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. It is equipped with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It is H-track all-wheel drive for off-roading, which you actually do need, and it can tow up to 5,000 pounds, which is quite impressive. The suspension system in this vehicle has been tuned and lifted 1 inch for off-roading, of course, to give the vehicle a bit more of that ground clearance and approach angle and departure angle and brake even. The ride with these tires. Now, the first thing you notice when you jump in a vehicle that has the off-road package with this kind of tires is you hear the road noise a lot more. Not so much in this one. I expected to hear that road noise that the tires make with the off-road package, but I don't. Good news is that with this one, you get the indicator camera, which gives you better visibility overall. One thing I noticed after jumping from that calligraphy trim is that it feels like very high off the ground compared to that model, which makes sense because the vehicle is lifted. The steering feels a little bit more responsive. There's no vibration in the vehicle with these tires, and just pretty enjoyable. The suspension feels a little bit stiffer than the calligraphy that I drove like not long ago. It's got a very stable and stiffer ride, but not uncomfortable. It just feels more, the suspension has been tuned to be more responsive compared to the standard model, which has got a more soft ride, which I believe the rear one has adjustable suspension for softer rides. This one doesn't. It's specifically for that off-road. Now, what is Hyundai trying to achieve with this? Was you're wondering, it's like, why do I need this? Well, simply put, you don't have to buy it, but it's a great trim. Like, people that are looking for something a bit more stable during wintertime, this is perfect. People that live in the countryside, they get a lot of snow and they go a little bit off-roading. They tow their AT4s into a certain area. You don't have to go all the way to the off-road part, but you can use this. It has the right tires, a V6 engine, it tows well, and it's got the ground clearance. So if you've got your AT4, your side-by-side, they weigh like 2,000, under 2,000 pounds, most of them, depending on which, this would be kind of like that perfect vehicle. You've 3-row SUV. If you have dirt bike, you've got yourself, you got your son, or you got your brother, you can make use of this around that. And I've actually seen where I go off-roading, they bring their dirt bikes, and it's actually that kind of vehicle. Instead of going and getting a pickup truck that you might not use most of the time, well, this is it. So that's the market they're targeting. But also people that drive outside the city where roads are not kept clean 100% of the time like they are in Toronto. That's where you're going to find or make use of a vehicle like this. And I think that's what Hyundai's targeting. And a lot of companies currently are doing that. They're giving Nissan, as I mentioned, with the Rock Creek, the new Ford Tremor, which is going to be more powerful than this, a bit more crazier than this in terms of power overall. And you've got yourself your Honda Pilot, which has a Trailsport, but it's not really an off-road machine, especially doesn't have any recovery hooks like this. Then you've got the Atlas, which is another vehicle. So there is a few options out there. So I think it was time to bring something like this and offer it to the market. Now, you're probably wondering, I don't really do off-roading. Is this a good package for me? Well, you're above the base model, which means you get more tech features, and it's not crazy priced for what it is. Now, it's not as cheap as the base model, but don't forget, you're getting so much of that off-roading technology and package, therefore they have to charge you more. I think they've done a great job wrapping it up. The only thing that I could complain is the front, the fog lights were probably the only thing that I could add to that. And it should have, and I wish they would have gotten this with the skid plate so that I can see what the skid plate looks like under it. But it is an accessory, which I think is a good thing because many people are like, I don't really need this skid plate. Why am I paying extra for it? Well, you don't have to tick that box. You could just go straight. I think they've nailed the design. I love the package. I love the looks. It's aggressive. It's got power. You put your foot down. The V6 is quite good. Now, fuel efficiency is not going to be the same as the standard model because once you add the tires, the wheels, you make it a little bit heavier, but also doesn't have the same aerodynamics, and the tires will burn more fuel. So that's something to keep in mind if you're buying this. It's not going to be a huge difference, but you'll notice that compared to the standard model, you know, the more you change the dynamics of the vehicle, you compromise fuel efficiency. It's not that hard to understand. I think they've nailed this package overall, and as I speak, I've got a Ford Explorer passing me. This is not the Trammer, but that's about it. I love this. I love the package. I love what they've done with this, and I think it's going to do very well for Hyundai. I can already see a Hyundai Elantra on my left side. The guy is looking at the car. He's staring at this side.